So I've been on a conquest to develop more distance on my backhand. And I can for sure say I have successfully added at least 30 to 50 feet to my backhand over the last month or two. Now, what really excites me about this new distance is that I can get more advanced shot shapes out of my mid-ranges, my putters, and my fairway drivers. So today I want to talk about the fairway driver specifically and talk about why I think the fairway driver slot is probably the most underutilized part of an amateur player's game. I know when I first started playing disc golf, you guys let me know if you did this too. I basically started playing disc golf with a putter, a mid-range, and a distance driver. Anything 7-speed and under and 9-speed and over, I wasn't having it. My disc golf bag was a Firebird, a Quake, a Berg, and then a Destroyer. When I very first started, those were the discs that I was using. And I was leaving so much shot shaping and scoring potential out on the table by not bagging fairway drivers. Now I realize as I continue to get better and I develop more power, I can throw my fairway drivers longer and straighter than ever. And I can score more birdies, particularly on difficult courses now more than ever. Now I have a few fairway drivers that come in and out of my bag that I really enjoy. I've got some new fairway drivers that I'm looking to add something a little less stable than this Leopard to my bag. So I'll be testing out some new fairway drivers. But with all of that being said, this Champion Leopard is such a clutch flyer for me. And if you've never thrown an Innova Leopard because you think it's too understable for you, I would highly advise checking out a Champion or a new Star Leopard. They're a lot more stable, brand new and out of the box than you would expect. And it's one of the most dependable discs in my bag. And I'm hitting so many birdies with this disc. And I'm choosing my fairway driver slot instead of my distance driver slot now more than ever. So if you're a beginner, just getting into disc golf, or an advanced player who tends to lead on your drivers or your mid-ranges, I would highly advise upping your fairway driver game because you're going to be able to throw longer and straighter shots than, longer than your mid-ranges, but then straighter than your distance drivers. And at the end of the day, being able to throw just crispy, clean lines is the most fun way to play disc golf. And you don't have to force the fairway drivers. They just kind of help do the work for you. And that's, again, some of the most fun ways to play disc golf. So I'm going to show you guys my two Leopards that I like to throw. And then I've got a stack of discs that I'm testing out to potentially add to the bag in the very near future. So I'll show you guys my main Leopard, my Champion Leopard. We've got a bit of a tailwind coming through here. So just keep that in mind. They're going to fly everything's going to fly a hair more stable than it normally would. But you can see that guy just wants to pick up, go straight for days, and then have a nice consistent fade at the end. This Star version of the same mold basically flies exactly the same. So if you are interested in getting a Leopard, one, I would get one over at Disc Golf Deals USA. And two, if you like Star better, get the Star one. If you like the Champ better, get a Champ one. I personally prefer the Champ currently, but this is a really good backup for if I ever lose that one. And that simple shot shape is getting me so many more birdies out on the course because I can throw so much farther than my mid-ranges and so much straighter than my drivers. And I just think the fairway driver game is so underrated and underrepresented in the amateur game. You see Simon with his Tesla. Simon's going with Tesla off the tee more often than his drivers, and he's throwing that thing all over every course. Just like Calvin with his Eagles. That Leopard is to me like the Eagle is for Calvin. It's that disc that instead of a distance driver, you want more control. You can go with that slower but still fast disc to get more than enough distance, but have so much more controllability and less right to left motion out of the disc. Now we've got a matte black stamp Star Leopard here. This one also flies pretty stable, so this is a really nice backup to have as well. You can see staying mostly straight, and they don't have that swinging and skippy kind of fade at the end. They just want to come down and land flat. And once you start to be able to control the landings of your disc, that's when you're really going to bring your game to that next level. Now we've got another version of the Leopard here This is a Luster Leopard from the Masters Cup in 2019. This is actually a Leopard 3, also flying pretty stable. So I've got a ton of backups for that stable blue Leopard, which makes me really happy. I think this one's got a little more flip than that one, but again, they're all flying pretty similar, so they're all going to make fine backups to the blue guy. You can see just picking up and gliding so far. And I just love the way that they're not dumping and having a huge skip like a distance driver would. If I was to throw a destroyer on that same line, it might fly a few feet farther. We're going to get so much more right to left movement. And that is the kind of movement that brings you from, inside the circle to outside the circle. So being able to have those nice controlled landings is another immense benefit to using fairway drivers instead of distance drivers. Now, the last fairway driver, another one that I'm actually really excited about, is this really cool salmon-ish colored Star TL3. I've thrown this guy a few times, and it seems to have just a bit more flip up than any of those other fairway drivers that I've tested. And as far as one that's going to go into my bag, I think this guy is probably the front runner. We have one or two other discs down here that are probably in the mix as well, but this is definitely one of the front runners. I knew about the T-Bird. I knew about the T-Bird 3. I knew about the TL, but they were hiding the TL3 from me somehow. After all these years, I had one in a bin that, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, I traded you something for this, and then it just went in the bin, and I never threw it and never looked at it again. Bob, what did I trade you for this TL3? But anyway, this is a 166 TL3, and it's got just a hair more flip up than all of those Leopards, and it's an absolute gorgeous flyer. You can see it's got a little more left to right movement. Still a consistent fade, but when it comes to carving up those fairways, you don't always have the opportunity to throw straight. So you need something that's going to get a little more flip up. Also, a disc like that, forced on a little bit of Annie, is going to hold that turn for a really long time, but it's got the stability to pan instead of turning into a roller and getting on its side and rolling. It's just going to pan and go really far and just give you a different shot shape to those slightly more overstable options. Now, I've got 3 Discraft fairway drivers here. All of them are pretty good. Two of these discs are incredible, and one of them I'm not fully sold on yet. We'll go with the not fully sold on yet one. I know Yuli's a big Mantis guy. I am 80% sure that the 2013 Ace Race disc is a Mantis. I found this no name, no number at Frog Rock Disc Golf Course all the way back in 2018, before I knew about any of the Facebook pages or any of that kind of stuff, before Iceberg TV existed. I remember finding this guy, and I could never track down the owner, but if this was your disc and you lost it at Frog Rock, let me know. 2013 Ace Race Mantis. I'm not super crazy about this disc, but it was definitely on my radar as far as what's in my collection to what I think I need out on the course. So it has a relatively straight flight, but a little bit more fade than I'm liking, and not quite enough turn for what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bit more turn than the Leopard, but still stable at the end. Now, what disc has been fitting the bill for this shot? Again, another big front runner right next to the TL3 is this absolutely gorgeous Halo style ESP Cicada. The ESP Cicada and the Cicada as a whole is a huge winner from Discraft. And this is a disc that I'm really falling in love with. I lost my Z Plastic one over at Reedy Creek the other day while I was filming a video, actually. And this guy does not disappoint. This guy is just as good as the Z Plastic one. It gets that little bit more turn, but then still has that little bit of fade at the end. And I find that that's probably the farthest flying fairway driver I've ever thrown. That Cicada is everything the C-Line FD wishes it was. The FD is just a little too dumpy for what most people want. The Cicada is every bit of fairway driver perfection that most players are looking for. And again, right next to that TL3, that is one of the front runners to the slot that I'm looking to fill. Another disc that one of my biggest concerns I don't really have a lot of backups for, this is like a mini patent number stamp Elite Z XS. I truly love the way this disc flies. And it's actually slightly warped on top. Let me see if I can show you guys this. Can you see the warping here? Let's see. You can see it's just a little bit warped. You can kind of see the way that it's warped fits my thumb so well, the way it's warped just on the top here. And I don't know do you guys consider that an illegal modification? No one's going to call me on it unless they see this video, I guess. But the way that this thing is slightly warped, it seems permanently warped this way. It just, my thumb fits in this warped part absolutely perfectly. And this guy's got a little bit more flip up as well. This is, again, one of the front runners. But my biggest red flag with this guy is that I don't have any backups. And if I do have a backup, it's not going to have this illegal thumb divot that I just absolutely love. Put that on a little more hyzer, but look at that flip up and ride. But it still has that beautiful little fade at the end. Well, all right, everybody. That's my breakdown of the importance of fairway drivers and why I think they're so important, especially for the amateur and beginner players out there. Again, all the pros are throwing their fairways a heck of a lot more than their distance drivers. So I think you guys should get out there, work on your form, learn to develop that distance, but then utilize that extra power to throw your fairway drivers longer and straighter, and you will certainly score better out on the course. You'll have more fun playing disc golf, and again, you'll go out there and beat all your friends. So I know that's going to be a fun time for you. So comment down below if you feel like this video is helpful for you. That's going to be it for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for 18,000 subscribers, and take care.